Hey everyone, Connie here from the Daubers, and welcome to round 2, week 2 of Shim-Line Saturdays. So the competitor this week, we have a Shapechanger skill versus Nature's Tempest. So again, going from the same scenario I had from last week, I'm looking for the perfect down the middle or down the across scenario kind of shim. I'm being quite critical. Points will be docked if it's as far off. I want it so much in the centre. So that's what I'm mainly putting my points into. Again, you don't have to. Whatever you want the card to be going through the next round's up to you and how you do the voting. So let's start off with Shapechanger skill. So again, we're going to have a look at this, do a zoom in as well, and as we can obviously see, it is not down the centre perfectly. It's off by a little bit on the left, maybe by like a couple of millimeters. Really not a lot off of it. I'm going to dock it a few points in my head a little bit for that, but not a crazy amount. Because it is quite close. It's probably one of the close ones we've had so far anyway, when I've started being a bit more critical. So let's have a look at, is there a hidden shim element to this? So now we've got to start taking the angles, seeing where all of the shims come in. And as you can see, if we were grading this card, it's going to look bad because I really don't think there's a zone that hides it. So yeah, I'm saying, I mean, maybe that at a push, and even then up, because you can still see the foiling. I think this one has a very outstanding shim. I don't think this is one that you could hide or have at a certain angle and then be like, oh, there's no shim. This one definitely has it. So that's going to max out the points that I'm putting on a shim being super noticeable for sure. I don't really think there's any real way around this. But looking at the art front, this one's a bit of an odd shim because the way they do the cartoon sort of comic style box, it cuts off a bit of the art. It still looks cool. Obviously, we get the two sort of black borders on the side, which means when it cuts through the art on the shim front of this through the art, it's kind of just cutting through specifically the part of the art rather than maybe just being a bit avoidable or off to the centre. It would be really cool if we managed to get a shim that was right down the outside lining of the box. That, I think, would have gave it some super art style. This one, I think, does have to get hit with a few negatives, sadly, on my books, solely down to the fact that I think it just does cut through the art and it's noticeable no matter how you look at it. So yeah, I think again it's not super centered, but it's close. So it's coming in at about the threes. I'm going to dock at some points just down to the fact I think it kind of interrupts the art. I'm going to give this a 2.5. I'm going to be a bit cruel today. I think this is going to get hit with a 2.5 on my ratings. Is that a bit drastic? Probably. Is it a bit cruel? Ah, it is. It is. 2.5 is a bit harsh. Maybe a 3, but I'm going to stick with 2.5 because we don't change our ratings too often on this, or else we would completely break the integrity of the show, so we can't be doing that. So I'm sticking with the 2.5. You might disagree with us. I fight out in the comments. 2.5 out of 5 shims for sure is what we're given. So let's see what it is going to fight up against, which is Nature's Tempest. So let's pull Nature's Tempest into the mix. So this one is an ultra rare from Critical Role. So we have Crit Roll versus Crit Roll. This one is, the shim is off to the right on this one instead. And I think this one is way more off to the right than the other one was off to the left. That's going to get hit with the absolute Hail Mary doozy of a punishment on my point scales this week. I'm just being bad. And I think on an art front, it's kinda. Does it interrupt it enough? Not really. Not really, to be honest. Does it? Is there a point where you could hide the shim? Maybe there. Again, I think sometimes you can sort of see it on the foil bordering of the card, but yeah, the moment you get one angle, it's got a bit of a hidden spot to it. Not there. Definitely not there. Oh god. The moment you kind of catch away from completely blocking out the light, but again, if you turn it, you can just see where that catches. This is I might just be this might be an evil week for crit roll cards. I think this might be a cruel week for crit roll cards for sure. So here's the thing. I don't think it interrupts the art too crazily. In fact, the fact that it cuts down and just misses that leaf above her arm, I don't know why, but I'm going to give it a bonus point for not interrupting the nature. I think that's only fair. But it also looks as if the way the art works on this, it does look as if the shim actually goes behind her arm. See if you look at that, right? It does actually look as if the shim goes behind the arm. I don't know how art works. I don't know how they do these things anymore. And that actually does look quite cool. So I am going to dock it heavily the points for it being further to the right than the other one was to the left. Not a political joke. And then I'm also going to increase its points for the fact that I think it looks almost imported into this scenario and looks like it is actually meant to be there. And it's definitely not. It's definitely not, for sure. Like, before anyone says, oh, he loves the shims, I don't think it's meant to be there. But I I think this gets a 3.5. I think where it loses the points on it not being centered in my book, I think also kind of saved it. Because see, if this was centered, I think it would ruin the art. So I think this gets to have the kind of hypocrisy that is my scale on rating this time. Yeah, if it was down the middle, I think it would have been easily a 2.0 stars out of 5. I think it would have been, because it would have ruined the art if it split right down the middle. I think the fact that it's been gracious enough to just be off center, not even cut through the antlers, I think has saved it. And I'm going to give it the 3.5 out of 5. So yeah, I think that is where we're at with these two cards. So this week, as we know, it is Shapechanger's Skill versus Nature's Tempest, everybody. So again, in the comments below, you've got to put in which one of these two cards you want to see in the next round. When this video goes live on the Saturday, do it in that comment. Do it also if you want multiple votes. Comment on the Facebook posts where we put them when we go live. Comment on the Discord for the daubers. That's another voting system. Again, you could try and completely rig the scale if you want. I don't think this show really cares. So then you've got all those options, and then on Sunday there'll be a short version going live as well. So you have multiple outlets for putting your vote. So if you really want to see Nature's Tempest, for instance, in the next round, you've got the Discord, you've got the Facebook groups. There's at least 2 posts for that. There's the actual YouTube, and then there's the short. You could technically vote 5 times, and I won't stop you. So this has been week 2, round 2, everybody, of Shim-Line Saturdays, and I'll see you all next week for week 3. Catch you later on.